Previously on the channel, I dropped an infinite melee build with the new changes to the Solar 3.0 Warlock with the Exotic Gauntlets, the Claws of Ahamkara, pretty much allowing you to snap constantly, being Roy Mustang. But in this video, instead of having two melees, I wanted to focus on the melee specifically being more powerful. And so in this video, I'm going to be taking those same changes, changing around a couple things for you guys, and pairing that with the Winter's Guile Exotic Gauntlets. Before we get into it, I mentioned this before, but if you need help with the Duality Dungeon, I will be doing carries throughout the season. Again, I'm doing those live on Twitch, twitch.tv/ItsDaveTVGaming. Again, follow that, and then also join my Discord. That link will also be in the description. That's going to be the best way for me to communicate with you, and also for you to get information when I will be doing those runs. All right, let's get into the build. So, like I said, the exotic is the Winter's Guile Gauntlets on the Warlock. Its perk, Warlord Sigil. Eliminating enemies with melee attacks increases your melee damage. Pretty much goes up to ×5. So if you get 5 melee kills in a row, your melee can do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, the timer for this does not last very long, so being able to chain these kills is going to be very, very important. I really wish they would show some love to this gauntlet. Like, it looks cool and it's a cool concept. I wish the timer was a little longer on the melee thing, but unfortunately, the only other ornament for this thing just covers it in ice. Like, what's Bungie? What's this about, man? Y'all been giving cool exotics, like cool things. This is literally the same thing covered in ice, bro. Like, give me something cool. In any event, let's talk about what I'm using for Solar 3.0. Again, super wise, you can use whatever you want here. Same thing with the class ability and the movement ability. Again, I just have Phoenix Dive on here, and I'm using Daybreak as a super. It doesn't really matter, right? Main thing I want to focus on is the melee. Incinerator Snap. Snap your fingers to create a fan of burning sparks that explode and scorch targets, which causes scorch, and once you apply enough scorch stacks, causes the ignition, right? Now, at the time of recording of this video, Celestial Fire does not have the ignition and scorch yet, so that's why I went with the Incinerator Snap. Plus, I want to feel like Roy Mustang with the snaps, right? Grenade-wise, I went with the Fusion Grenade, mainly because the bonus it gets from Touch of Flame, which allows it to explode twice. Now, you can go with any other grenade that you would like here and then put on something like Icarus Dash if you want. Again, you can dodge while you're airborne, and that's completely fine. But I want that bonus to the grenade, and if you still want to use Touch of Flame and not use Fusion, again, the bonuses are Healing Grenade, Solar Grenade, and the Firebolt Grenade, so you can choose any one of those there. Going over the other aspect, heat rises. You can fire your weapons melee and throw grenades while gliding. And again, you can consume a grenade to activate heat rises. But the main thing here that I want to focus on is final blows while airborne increase the duration of heat rises and grant melee energy. Again, if I get kills in midair, I want to get my melee back as quickly as possible, right? Again, this is a melee focused build. Going over the fragments, first up, I have Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This is going to be important later on when I talk about what I have on the class item. Next, Ember of Empyrean. This is a new one that came out when I think we had to do like 20 million nightmares or something like that. But basically, solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. So as long as you're chaining solar kills, you can have radiant and restoration constantly, which is absolutely nuts. Next, Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. Again, radiant is a bonus weapon. Bonus damage to your weapons, golly. And then the Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy. Again, like I said, it's a melee focused build. We want to get melee energy back. Now let's go over the mods that I'm using. So starting with the helmet, again, I have Hands On. Again, you gain bonus super energy on melee kills. Next up, Harmonic Siphon. Rapid weapon final blows with damage matching your subclass type, create, and orb of power. Again, we already have that fragment on that pretty much allows you to continue to have radiant and restoration on just solar ability or weapon final blows. And if we're going to be using a solar weapon, we might as well create orbs of power, right? And then lastly, melee Wellmaker. Powered melee combatant final blows spawn an elemental well matching your subclass energy type. Again, it's a solar melee, so it's going to be a solar well. On the gauntlets, main things to note, I have Well of Life. Picking up a solar elemental well grants increased regeneration for a short period of time, which is your health. For the chest piece, main thing to note, I have Explosive Wellmaker. Rapidly defeating combatants with explosive damage spawns a solar elemental well. So again, combining the, scorches, the ignitions, the explosion from the grenade, and the melee, I'm definitely going to be having some solar explosions go on, and so I might as well have solar elemental wells be spawning from that. On the boots here, I have Invigoration. Again, I have that in both slots here, but reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb. Again, if I'm going to be making orbs from Harmonic Siphon, I might as well get that melee back faster. And then the main thing to note here is Heavy-Handed. While you're charged with light, regain half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee attack, consuming 1 stack of Charge of Light. And with the bonus, since I have Invigoration on, while surrounded by multiple combatants, defeating a combatant with a fusion rifle, a shotgun, sidearm, or some machine gun adds ammo for that weapon to your reserves. And then lastly, for the class item here, I have Outreach, which reduces your melee cooldown when using your class ability. And then Classy Restoration. This is how we're going to get Restoration to proc. Activating your solar class abilities grants you Restoration. And then I have Elemental Charge. Basically, you become Charge of Light by picking up an Elemental Well. If that Elemental Well's elemental type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of Charge of Light instead of 1. And since we're going to be, spawning solar wells and we're on a solar subclass, guess what? Charge of Light times 2 automatically. And if you couldn't tell, the stat I'm going to be focusing on is Strength. I want my melee cooldown as quickly as possible to keep up the Winter's Guile perk. Now, weapon-wise, like I mentioned, solar weapons are going to be really good here to keep up the Fragment Ember of Empyrean. Again, your solar weapon final blows extend Restoration and Radiant, which is going to be great. But I also have on Monte Carlo here. Its perk, Monte Carlo method, dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. And then its other main perk, Markov Chain. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills, and kills with this weapon, melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. So pretty much this thing is Swashbuckler, but an exotic perk. But again, it's a melee build. I want a very fast way to get my melee back in case I can't use any of the other methods that I had on my mods on my armor. So if you're not understanding the synergy here, pretty much I'm using Melee Well Maker to spawn a solar well. I pick that up, I get Well of Life, I also get ×2 Charge of Light, which allows me to proc Heavy-Handed to get half my melee back every time I use it. Oh, I also have Explosive Well Maker, so if I get any explosion kills from the Fusion Grenade, from Scorch, from Ignitions, whatever, I will get another Solar Elemental Well, which again coincides with Elemental Charge. Oh, by the way, proccing this stuff with the Fragments, again, Ember of Singeing, your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets, which automatically happens with the melee and the grenade. And again, if I'm using solar weapons or solar ability kills, I extend Restoration and Radiant, which I get Radiant from Ember of Torches from the powered melee kills I get, and then also I can get Restoration from Classy Restoration just by using my class ability. So once I get Restoration and Radiant going, as long as I'm chaining solar ability or solar weapon kills, that will continue to go on, and every Scorch target I defeat, I get melee energy. Oh, guess what? In case I can't get melee energy, you can tell how crazy this is, right? I have Invigoration, and I also have Outreach just in case. Oh, backup plan is Monte Carlo. And Monte Carlo this time around is not too bad. Now, if you're looking for some mods to substitute for this, it's kind of tough, right? Because this focuses on trying to make solar elemental wells, and if you can't do it with your melee, that's why we have Explosive Well Maker, but you could also replace that with something like Elemental Ordnance. Again, defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. That's like if you have your grenade, but also this isn't spec'd out for grenades, so you will not be able to get that grenade very quickly. You could potentially do something with taking charge, become Charge of Light by picking up Orbs of Power and being able to create those through solar weapon damage with Harmonic Siphon, but I find that being able to spawn the Elemental Wells and get ×2 automatically versus having to pick up 2 Orbs of Power doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I find that so much easier. So again, there really aren't a lot of things you can substitute in here for something like Heavy-Handed and Elemental Charge, but again, Explosive Well Maker, you could do Elemental Ordnance, you could do Elemental Armaments. If you get Combatant Weapon Final Blows with the damage type that matches your subclass element, it has an escalating chance of spawning an Elemental Well, which, it's great and all, but I want the 100% guarantee that it's going to happen. Or if you really wanted to, you could replace Explosive Well Maker with something like Bountiful Wells, where it spawns 2 at the same time. But the problem is you can't really space those out, but I really don't find an issue with that if you just wanted to go with Melee Well Maker, considering you have all of these options to be able to get your melee back very quickly. So you could potentially do Bountiful Wells as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that is my Solar 3.0 Winter's Guile max damage melee Roy Mustang type beat build. And as you guys know, there's a million and one ways to make these builds with all the aspects and fragments and mods that you can use and weapons and everything. There's a million and one ways to make this build or any build similar to it. So if you do have any suggestions or your own build for this, again, put that in the comments. I'll check it out. I'm testing stuff out all the time. But if you liked what you see, again, you can always drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on that bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another one of these build videos. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you need help with the Duality Dungeon, follow me on Twitch, join the live stream, and then hop in my Discord. We will definitely find a way to help you out and accomplish that for you. We've already taken 15 plus people through it out of only 3 streams, and so I'm very excited to be able to carry more people throughout the season and hopefully get some god rolls that they're looking for. In any event, we hope to catch you in the next video. See ya!